Do you want me to say, hello, I'm Karen Getz. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show?
I'd love you to say that.
Hello, I'm Karen Getz. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Karen Getz, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you very much. How are
I'm
you
so
doing?
I'm really good, thank you very much. It's horribly hot in England at the moment. It's mostly cold all year round, but there's a couple of weeks where it's unnecessarily hot, and we are in that part of my life.
Yeah, it kind of made some worldwide news about the little heat wave you've been having. I was going to ask you if it's as hot there as it is here, but it's about 94 degrees where I am right now.
Yeah, it
I
is
don't know what
pretty
that
bad. Honestly, I've just been opening the oven just to cool the room down a bit.
is.
It's way better in there. I don't understand why. Maybe my oven's broken. Maybe that's it. You are, of course, a dancer, a choreographer, a writer, an actress, a director. But can you tell me, when you were growing up in Queens, New York, what did you aspire to be?
All of those things, except that I probably from a very early age would have put like the appropriate, really high end award in front of it. So like by the time I was probably like 6 or 7, I aspired to be like, Tony Award winning, Academy Award winning, WGA Writer Award winning, actor, dancer, singer, movie star.
And you are, and you're incredible. And congratulations on that, that I've just given you. Can you tell me, I've always wondered this, what types of dance did you actually study? How do we get as good as you? What do we need to?
Oh, so sweet. And so weirdly, not like I'm not built like a dancer. I don't have a dancer's body. And probably if I had had different early teachers, I might have. Well, I probably not. I probably would not have been talked out of my career, but it would have been even harder than it was. But I started with Broadway jazz dance, which I don't think it'd be okay to call that anymore because it's really not proper jazz dance. Jazz is would be co-opting the African American roots of dance in America. But it was a funkier kind of style. I mean, that's not true actually. If my mother watches this, she'll yell at me. I did start a class first when I was about 4 years old. That was ballet, and I hated it. So, and then a couple of years later, I started at Miss Debbie's Dance Studio. She had been a Broadway dancer. She knew all these, dated all these new lots. She was just cool. And yeah, it was a lot of like hip thrusts and pivot turns and like big face. But she had incredible. Everything was kind of rhythmic, and I like really. It's what I connect to, and so yeah. And then later on, when I got serious, I started taking ballet seriously and to get technique and stuff like that.
I've got a busy week ahead of me then, really, to try and catch up with this stuff.
There's some good YouTube videos. You can take them all at once. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend dancing however the fuck you feel like dancing, whatever your
Yeah.
body says, and that's how you dance.
The great thing about dancing is, in most places, unless you're on stage, wherever you dance is usually pretty dimly lit.
I am so way into club dancing that if I lived in a perfect world, I would be dancing amongst a whole bunch of strangers in the dark every single night of my life. That makes me very happy.
Especially if you're just waiting for a bus or something.
I do that anyway, and I bet you might do that too.
It has happened. So, speaking of which, and completely changing the subject, in fact, is it true that you once auditioned for something, but they made you dance at a bar mitzvah for free?
Yes, I don't know where you found that, and I just love and admire you so much for digging that really important story out. Yes, like probably about 3 weeks before I got cast in Dirty Dancing, um, or before I officially got the phone call. I had probably already auditioned for it. I there was this, and I don't know if any of your UK viewers will understand this at all, but like in the part of Queens slash Long Island where I grew up, um, for bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and weddings in the middle class, very bougie Jewish community, they would hire entertainment companies called, this one was called La Masquerade. I doubt it still exists, so they can come after me or whatever. But, and they would have, it was the 80s, and they would have dancers come out like after or before dinner or after dinner and like get the party started. So my job was to come out, and in order to get this gig, which paid, I think it was like a whole whopping $100 a night, which was less than I would make waiting tables in the city, which is a much better job. But you would come out and you would dance, and so in order to get the gig, you would have to like do one for free, and then they would decide whether you got the job. And I did it, and I have to say, I mean, I had a good time because I was dancing with people, and I love that. But I could tell that they were pretty sleazy. The guy was pretty sleazy. You get a nose for these things, and then like he called me, I think, to tell me that I didn't have enough charisma.
Wow.
Gig. Which I have to say, like, it wasn't like crushing, or even, it didn't even remotely register, because at that point I was 22 years old, and I knew just how much charisma I actually possessed. So I knew it was bullshit, and I can't remember if it, you probably know because you probably watched whatever interview or whatever story I told the story in, if it was before or afterwards, but I got cast in this movie, and I was like,
See that? I didn't know that bit. I have no questions for you're in a film, you say? I'll just make some up, it'll be fine. Gonna improvise some Dirty Dancing, you said it was called, okay.
yeah.
So I would really, for real, love to know though, how did you first hear about that movie, and what was the audition process like?
It was amazing. It was it was so distractingly. It was such a bait and switch, because I thought everything in Hollywood would be like the experience of Dirty Dancing, and it, it was such a gem in every way. So I was in a dance class, Broadway style jazz dance class, professional class. One that I took all the time with this incredible teacher choreographer, Michelle Asaf. And she said something to the effect of, my friend Kenny is having an audition for a movie. They need people who look ethnic but not Jewish. I was like, okay. I'm Jewish, but I thought, all right, I'll go anyway. And I thought I would go anyway because I kept on getting cast at this point. I was out of school like a year, a little less than a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. And I was getting cast in New York in the 80s, as this space was considered all American on the East Coast, because it's kind of like a smush of all ethnicities in America. I mean, the whole business is so different now. It was so horrific back then. So, everything was typed, and the things that you could be called in for, and I mean, just horrific. On the West Coast, I would have been considered like the swarthy help, because I'm not blonde and I'm only 5'4", not even. Anyway, so I went to this audition, and it was a lot of just improvising, partner dancing, and I loved doing that, and it was like sexy, and I danced with this guy. God, I can't remember his last name. I'm sure he's doing really well, but his name was Carlos, and he was great. And I forgot, he turned down the movie because he got some other gig. But I knew that it went really well because I kept on cutting people, and they just kept on keeping me. And Kenny was in the room, and Eleanor Bergstein was in the room, and I think Emil, the director, Emil Ardolino, was in the room. And I knew when I was young, I would walk into any audition, dance audition, acting audition, and just assume that I have it. And that confidence and just the ability to kind of play and have fun is what gets you gigs, because it's kind of this unstoppable magic potion. And then life beats you down and you lose it, and then hopefully you go through menopause and you regain it again. I think that's like the motto. That's like the little thing underneath my life. But yeah, so I had a great time, and I knew that it was great. And a couple of weeks later, they called me to tell me I got the gig, and I met my soon-to-be dance partner, and then like one of my closest friends in the entire world, and like family, Jesus Fuentes, who became my dance partner in that movie. I wasn't originally dancing with him; they switched us. But I met him in the airport on the way down to go film the movie, and it was amazing.
That's incredible. And how long was the film in production? Was it a couple of months? Because I understand it was filmed in 2 locations.
It was filmed in 2 locations, and I I want to say it felt like it was an entire lifetime. I don't know the specific amount of weeks. It was more than a month, probably. Not that long because it was a fairly low budget movie. But yeah, we filmed at Lake Lure, North Carolina, and then Blacksburg, Virginia. So yeah, it was a fairly short process. It was an amazing, like just an amazing process. Besides the fact that being on a film set is it's my happy place. I mean, being on stage is also my happy place, but the it was just crazy. It was crazy and amazing. And working Kenny Hiltiger and his assistant Miranda Garrison, they just created this incredible environment of creating a company of actor dancers, like not treating us like meat, really encouraging us to develop relationships and characters, even though we never spoke. And Patrick was so amazing. Like everybody on the set was Cynthia was so everybody was so amazing. Jennifer, it was just this. It was. You can ask me specific questions because I'll just go off on like.
You're very welcome to. My first question is, though, actually about that. Can you explain to me why some of the cast referred to the place you were staying at as the Bates Motel?
Yeah. So that was like I think that was probably Lake Lure, and the named cast, the people who were getting paid union wages, were staying in this. I don't know, the Lake Lure Hotel or some. It was a fairly nice hotel. I mean,
Right.
putting Jerry Orbach up, like, you got to put him in a real hotel. And the dancers and the crew, we stayed next door in this drive-in like motor lodge.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really terrifying. It was it was the kind of place, I guess, in my recollection, it was the kind of place. I first of all, I didn't care. It's not like I had a bad attitude about it. I was like, I'm on a movie set.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, what do I care? It's the kind of place where truckers probably drive in with their hourly dates formerly, and so we very quickly started calling it the Bates Motor Lodge. Plus, the town itself was, and I'm sure you know this already. You probably know more than I do, but or remember. But it was a former town that was submerged, and then this town was built on top of it. So there was a lake, and underneath the lake was the former town.
Wow. So you know where Atlantis was?
I know where Atlantis was, and I think it was or Y or Ye or however you say it. It was submerged because obviously there wasn't enough, or there was too much of putting baby in the corner, I guess.
Incidentally, about putting baby in the corner, I rewatched the film earlier because I just need excuses to watch it every day. And she actually had a pretty good seat because if you look at the other ones, they weren't facing the stage.
Okay, I never noticed that before, and I'm pretty good at like noticing like really stupid things. And that is really important. That's a really important observation.
Yeah, because it was a round table and all the other chairs were facing inwards. So it means that they had a drink, they were sort of had to turn away to watch the show.
Yeah, she had a good shot. She had a good sight view, but she was still, and there was no, that was
Corner.
there was no corner,
There is no corner. That's the other problem with that.
no corner. It's still a great line.
Yeah, it was iconic line, but she was in the middle of the room and had a pretty good seat.
Yeah, I think that you should, I don't know, maybe hold a press conference because maybe
I
that
will.
is the thing that pushed us into this horrible timeline that we're currently in instead of the one we're supposed to be in, where like we're all living and taking care of each other and the planet and all that stuff. So I think you found it, Sarah.
I think it's important. I think the follow-up line should have been, nobody puts baby in the corner. Actually, I didn't. It's quite a good seat. And then Johnny would have said, oh, yeah,
It's an entirely different film, and I think you need to make it.
I've been holding that in for about 30 years.
Well, I am so honored that I am the person that turned that key and let the floodgate of funny out.
Really
Honored.
appreciate it. Can you tell me a bit about the choreography and how it all came together? Did you have weeks of rehearsals before the filming started? Did some of it actually come together on set?
I think all of those things are true. We definitely rehearsed before filming, but as I recall again, I don't think it's just because I'm old, but I just I have large impressionistic brushstrokes of certain large events in my life, and I just honestly think it's my ADHD more than anything else. It's like, oh, I remember how I felt, but specifically, I do remember and there are pictures to prove it. So we did a lot of time in the studio, the eight of us, the eight original Dirty Dances, kind of creating the language. We were like we took a crash course on partner dancing, on Latin partner dancing, because none of us, except for Jesus, except for my partner, I think, were actually Latin part. Oh, and Dorian Sanchez, were actual partner dancers. The rest of us were Broadway dancers, or at that point MTV dancers, one or the other. MTV dancers, ballet, New York dancers would come in, go to the bar, warm up, do a whole ballet thing. LA dancers would come in, smoke a cigarette, throw their leg over their head, and then like turn 8 turns and be amazing. But we spent a lot of time learning how to really partner a dance, learning how to do and listen, and really all those things that Johnny teaches her about dancing, and that Cynthia's character Penny teaches her about dancing, were things that we were learning too. So we really got this amazing by Miranda Garrison, who is a master of that kind of dance. So we developed that vocabulary, and with Kenny, Kenny would run these rehearsals where he would introduce stuff, and we would play with it all together like an ensemble, which is really interesting because that is pretty much what the rest of my career kind of became about, especially once I moved here to Philadelphia. And we kind of created a lot of the moves, and then they became our signature. So each couple had signature moves. And then there was, we were on set for a really long time. There are a lot of things that would just improvisationally kind of, once you're partner dancing and you're really dancing, you're in it when you're not planning and stuff comes out, because it's what improv is. Like, you give yourself over to the improvisational gods and they bless you. So it was a combination of all of those things.
That's amazing. And is it true that you were the dance captain? And if so, what did that involve?
I know I have said this a lot over the last 755 million years since.
We're both aging amazingly.
But I think it was something I think actually, yeah. What happened was for the finale and the ending, we had to teach the extras, who really were fantastic dancers. They were local dancers who came in, and all the guests, whatever part of the choreography were they doing. So I think Kenny like picked me because I, at that point, and now of course people who know me for the last 20 years would laugh at this, because as a choreographer, I don't remember all the things I would remember as a dance captain, which is like every step and every beat. That other people, but back then I was really good at like remembering everything, because I was a neurotic 23-year-old kid. So I remembered every step. So I think I got the title dance captain, which meant I got to like teach and keep the extras in line, and sort of keep the other in line. But if you'd ask any of those other 7 dancers to do that, they all could have done that as well. But I think I had that title, and so it was a little, I got to keep that as my self-aggrandizement, as I became one of the aging Dirty Dancers.
It's very impressive and very cool. And so you said that a lot of the dancing was actually improvised, and I imagine that some of the dances were done in lots of different ways and the best shots picked or whatever. But can you remember any of the choreography from certain dances where the entire group was doing the same thing at the same time?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first of all, we did the finale dance on like all the TV shows after, when we were promoting the movie. So we had to do that over and over again. And then on the American Music Awards, we did it. On Oprah Winfrey, we did it. On the Smothers Brothers show, we did it. And like, Regis and Kathy. And then, yes, I remember the finale, of course. And then we went on tour. We went on Dirty Dancing tour live, Dirty Dancing live. It's a whole other interview.
It's actually part of this interview because I've seen it.
You've seen Dirty Dancing live?
I've seen it a lot. I have like a really old DVD of it, and I used to honestly watch it on repeats. It was great.
Oh, I'm so sorry we never came to the UK, although whatever. But yeah, so part of that section, as you know, was like Jesus and I and DA would get up and teach everybody how to dirty dance, and of course they let me have the mic because I'm a loudmouth, and so I would teach everybody a couple of our signature moves, and we made up names for them. So, swim all over somebody else, and the grind, which is just grabbing somebody and basically grinding against them and calling it dance. Did you want me to teach you the finale of the movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Are you going to get up and do it with me?
No, but I'll do it from a seated position, only because where the camera is, people would only see the middle of me, and that's a whole different show. That's on my OnlyFans account. I don't have that.
Well, you can fake it with me. You go.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
one,
I can do that.
and two,
Okay.
And 3 and 4 and oh goodness, is it? Wait, hold on. Now I have to be like okay, 3 and 4 and turn around. So do that. Oh.
I'll do it at the same time with you.
1, ready?
Yep.
6, 7, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and kick, ball, change, kick, turn, pivot, and grind all the way up. Step to the side. Step to the side. Something else happens. Turn around.
Done.
Good. And then just put your arms up so you can catch baby.
Very important.
Or if you one of the people, the 8 dancers, you run towards the stage and then watch as Johnny picks up baby.
Speaking of which, you know that iconic scene, the lift?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. It's really great. It takes you to different floors of the building. It's incredible. And did anyone else want to have a go with that? So did like a line form?
Oh my God, that would have been amazing. You know what? If you ask Jesus, probably I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jesus, offered to pick Jennifer Grey up a couple of times. But no. I think we filmed that scene. I think the finale scene we filmed for 2 weeks. You probably again know better than I do, but and I can't remember the latest documentary, the movies. Oh, that great one is it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good documentary. It's really accurate. I can't remember if they held off the lift at which days they did it. It was smoky, and we were there a long time, and it was fun.
It seemed like the most fun in the world. And I was thinking about the first scene that baby discovers the world of Dirty Dancing, and there's Do You Love Me and Love Man one after the other during that iconic scene. But were you listening to the entire songs back to back and filming them in one go, or would they go, I want you to dance to this particular part of the song, and you just hear one piece on loop? Or was there no music on and you were just dancing in general?
No, well, the finale song hadn't been written, so in that later scene, I think we were listening to the click track, and we actually Kenny choreographed it to a Higher Love before we actually did it to the click track of the music that was coming in. But those scenes, if someone could correct me, if someone wants to correct me, but as I remember it, that we were listening to that music, that amazing music, and some of that music was new to me. I don't think I'd ever heard Love Man before, or Do You Love Me. I don't recall ever hearing Do You Love Me before that movie. And we would listen to it. And so it depends on what shot, right? There were all these, Emilio Ardolino, who died way too soon and was this incredible artist, was like, he was seeing all this amazing shots. Plus we had the Steadicam guy, Ted Churchill, doing like these incredible in the crowd shots. And so there were a lot of takes, but I'm pretty sure that the sound would go back to wherever it was. Kind of really didn't need to be, some of it really didn't need to be synced, but some of it did. I mean, we do a line dance there, and Cynthia gets to do the incredible things that she does, which nobody else in the world can do with their body because she's a goddess. With Johnny to that, and that is definitely synced to parts of the music. But yeah, I think we just listened, There were a couple of movies they made afterwards, so they kind of blur, over the last 455 years since I made that movie. But yeah, I mean, generally you go back, sound goes back for the most part. Yeah.
And I was also wondering, so in a lot of the scenes, your character is chewing gum. Is that something that was written down or you were told to do, or something that you brought to the character?
Oh, that was me going, how can I steal camera focus? My character's going to chew gum and people are going to look at me. It's, the technique of stealing focus without being obnoxious. I don't want to sound like I'm not. Maybe I am. Whatever. You stand out. It just felt like it felt like a totally character-y thing to do. I mean, my character's name is Angela Catherine Victoria Mistrone, and she definitely chewed gum, and she had this whole backstory. Um, but yeah, definitely you're going to remember the person, and you're going to look at the person who's chewing gum because nobody else is doing that. So yeah, no, I was just trying to steal focus, get some camera time.
Well, to me, you were the main dirty dancer, so it clearly worked.
I fooled everybody.
Can you tell me what were Patrick and Jennifer actually like to work with?
Again, it was such a bait and switch because I thought being in Hollywood that every movie after that was going to be like this and every TV show, and it wasn't. They were both amazing. Everybody on that set there was no hierarchy. Later on, when I worked in some much larger films as like an assistant choreographer or I was dancing on them, you come to realize, or doing stunt work, which I also did, like the life that movie stars live is really freaking hard, and it's really difficult on the psyche, and so they tend to stay for the most part away from everybody else, but not on Dirty Dancing. There really was no hierarchical system. Like Patrick hung out with us all the time because he felt comfortable being around dancers, and he was incredibly down to everything you wanted him to be. He was. If like you watched him all your life and you were like, oh, Patrick Swayze, and anybody who's ever had a crush on him, like he was that amazing and that down to earth and that fantastic. And Jennifer's hysterical. I have no idea if she remembers me or not. But like the year or two after the movie came out, whenever we would run into her, sometimes we run into her at this hot dog place, Gray's Hot Dog on the Upper West Side, Grace Papaya. I'm sure she wasn't having hot dogs. I'm sure she was having papaya. But she is incredibly funny and smart and amazing and funny to be with. They all were. Cynthia. I mean, they were all just incredible. I loved pumping the older people, not the older people, the famous. I mean, the Broadway famous people to me. Talking to Jerry Orbach was incredible. Talking to Kelly was incredible. I mean, I was like, here I am talking to the original Sheila in a chorus line. Like, here I am, and we're hanging out together, and she's amazing. So, yeah, but they were all that, just lovely, funny, hardworking, kind of amazing.
That's so great to hear. And do you have a favorite memory from production or moment from your time on the film?
I have a lot of favorites. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's become my favorite because Jesus loves to tell the story of what a dork I am, which was, and maybe you've heard this before on some interview or something, but the first big background extra everything scene, was when the baby's pulling in and you see the shell dress. What the hell was the name of what the hell is the name of the hotel?
I want to say Kellerman's.
Kellerman's, thank you. I just love the sweatshirt. Hi, yeah, old. It's hilled and terraced, and there's all kinds of things going on. We're doing background work as the employees and dancers in it, and I don't know which take it was, but I had these really great cat eye 60s glasses in my little Kellerman's outfit, and we got background action go, and we were supposed to like walk somewhere, and I tripped and rolled down this huge hill, and just completely wiped out at the bottom of the hill, and ruined the shot. And of course the PAs and the costumes were really, really worried, not about me, but about whether I crushed the glasses or not.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. So that was
people can be replaced, but some glasses,
I know, get another dancer, but those really great looking cat eye glasses. Oh, hanging out, watching North and South in one of our motel rooms, all of the dancers with Patrick, hearing Cynthia just talking about working in Nashville and singing and all the things that she did, watching the scenes being shot. I remember the day that they shot the lake scene, and I forgot why we were on set. Maybe we were just hanging out or watching that go on. being in the studio, and then being with the dancers themselves. Like they're all still friends. We're all still friends, and we were so crazy and um, connected, and we made each other laugh a lot. You know, it's because my memories are kind of like I said, very emotionally based. I just remember being so excited to wake up every morning on that set, and like I get to go dance and work and do the thing that I love. I'm sorry, like I don't even really have much gossip or anything. I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. I wasn't cynical yet. No, I just yeah, like you'd get the call sheet on your door, and it was way too early, and we stayed up way too late every night, every night. But we were so young, it didn't matter.
Kenny Ortega, how did he communicate the different dances? Was it just a case of being shown them, or were things storyboarded or anything like that?
They were developed. So, like, and the scenes that are like just all those incredible partner dances between Kenny and Johnny, or between Baby and Johnny, they were worked. I mean, developed and worked on, and you know, like there'd be a style of dance. So they were like, you know, a mambo or a merengue or whatever. When it came to certain specific moves, because this is what all choreographers and all dancers do, we make up names for stuff all of the time. Anybody who's ever been choreographed by me here in Philadelphia will tell you how many different insane names I make for, you know, different steps and stuff. But so there were a couple things that, you know, were named. And then there was choreography that Kenny developed specifically for that kind of dance or those particular moves, right? So like, you know, there's the famous story of like the tickle and the fact that Jennifer was really ticklish, and that laugh really came out of that. That was such intimate work. The rest of us were not around. Usually when Patrick and Jennifer were working together, it was Miranda and Kenny, and that was it. You know, like they were in there working together and getting that kind of incredibly intimate, really beautiful art out of them. So I wasn't privy to what was really happening when they were developing that stuff. But for us, yeah, you know, well, we would do something, and Kenny would be like, keep that, and then we'd give it a name, and they'll work them on down. I think there were a couple things, or somebody would say, oh, isn't that called that? Or Kenny would be like, oh, we used to call it this, and Miranda would say, no, it's called that, because she would know. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so were you allowed to keep any props or souvenirs or costumes from the production?
I don't know if I was allowed, but I did. I just kept my Kellerman sweatshirt.
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's the only thing I kept. So I have that burgundy. I think I have it. Probably my spawn has it. My child probably stole it from me.
Right.
And it's probably in New Hampshire right now with my spawn. But yeah, I think that was the only thing that I actually kept. I kept stuff from the tour, but that was the only thing I kept from the set. Normally, you know, you can ask to buy stuff when you work in a movie.
Any prop or anything there?
You can ask if you can buy it, and sometimes the coordinator or the designer might say you can have it or you can buy it, and sometimes they're like, no, because we are using it for something else, or it has to go back to the shop, or it was rented. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't really. It wasn't like my outfit. I mean, my dress was amazing. Oh my god, Hillary, costume designer, their makeup, they were just incredible. They were all incredible. But my, like, you know, my camp outfit was like, it's not like something I would like, oh, if I want to walk around and look like I have absolutely no waist and I look like a walking box with sneakers on. It wasn't like I was desperate to keep that look. I wasn't. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like we were making the movie, we were like, this is going to be the largest grossing independently made film in the history of film. We're like, oh, this probably goes straight to video. It's a really low budget movie. And boy, were we wrong. So if I had known, I would have stolen all kinds of things. Who knows?
If I had the option to buy things, I would have come home with some dresses, Patrick Swayze, you know.
His wife would have been a little cranky about that. But
I know,
mean,
right?
Good.
But it's not my fault. The costume department sold me Patrick Swayze, so
You did everything by the book, so it was
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I'm not to blame for that.
Nope, nope.
So guessing then, if you only have the sweater, you also don't have in the concert tour, you wore a white dress with black hearts and red flowers on it.
It's a Betsy Johnson dress.
Mm.
Where I say it like, oh yeah, I mean I love the dress, but I also look like a packed sausage with flowers on it. Uh, there's a lot of beer drinking on that. I kept the tour made me a dress that was equivalent to the dress that I wore in the finale of the movie. The finale, I mean, that dress is just that was made for me. Oh my god! I just even though I think what I would have stolen was the costume designer and Gil, the makeup. Um, I would have stolen them to make me look good all the time. But the tour made me this black dress, or got me this black dress with and I did keep that. I have that upstairs. I if I'd known, I would put it on. It's pretty amazing. I also think it's a Betsy Johnson. Uh, and just weirdly, like I didn't wear Betsy Johnson in the '80s at all, but then I spawned a child who discovered Betsy Johnson and also wears Doc Martens all the time, and so I now have all this Betsy Johnson, like my coats and stuff. But it's the different, it's the aughts and the teens, 20 teens kind of Betsy Johnson stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I had that amazing. Oh my god, I love that dress. Not the sausage dress. I mean, just it's hard for me to watch that tour and those scenes when I'm like, oh look at me, I'm a grinding sausage.
The best kind of sausage.
Probably the tastiest.
I think so. So looking back, it's been over 30 years since the movie came out. A few movies have been released since. What do you attribute to Dirty Dancing's lasting appeal and success? I've seen it in movie theaters several times. Even recently, it still comes back. People still love it and want to talk about it, and it's still held up there as one of the most iconic movies of all time. Why is that?
If I knew capture lightning in a bottle, I'd do it again. I well, first of all, I have to say, I definitely have seen it less than most human beings on the planet, and I mean specifically because after the movie was made, Jesus and I have always had this running joke that we'd be like, oh my god, we're just gonna be like walking around going, we're gonna be 60 and going, remember us? We're the oldest living dirty dancers, in our walkers. And now I'm almost 60, and I'm like, oh my god, that actually happened. And I'm not a very backwards looking person, but
You'll love these questions then.
I, but I will say, I've watched it more in the last say 10 years, right?
Right.
Since and I did fly out to LA a couple years ago to do whichever the 25th anniversary, 30th anniversary. Jesus and I did this little tutorial video for the release. You've probably seen it. I haven't. But watching it again, and then I I think there's an element to it that it's the genius of Eleanor's script and Kenny's choreography and Emil's direction, where you get to the heart of what is amazing about dance, which is what's universal about dance, which is that uh, you know it's it's your human right to like dance and express yourself, and that person who's like in the corner who's not typical, whatever, that's all of us, and they get to shine. They also get to like, you can do more than you thought you could do. That's a big thing about the movie. Everybody is so, you're beautiful and you should dance. Like I think that's part of it. Like, and just the energy of it, the sexiness of it. I think what's really like this, the borderline camp possibilities, that they've given us such a beautiful library of satire. There's a sort of energy and just unbelievable joy.
Mm.
And dance, and there are very few movies where dance is really the beating heart of the movie, like what you call it,
I love that movie.
that's I know you love the movie. Billy Elliot is like that, where the beating heart of the movie just makes you. Strictly Ballroom is like that, like despite all the parody, like it's the dance that gets your heart racing. I
Mm.
think it's the kind of art that really hits it, like it, because the audience is having the same sort of empirical experience. Like you know, when opera singers are like told to go on vocal rest, like they're not allowed to watch opera because their muscles are going to still move and do all the stuff that they're supposed to be resting, even when they're not singing. And that's true for me, like watching dance choreography, like people know not to sit next to me just in case I don't like it because it's like in my body and it's my body. I'm doing all the choreography with that, and that's what I'm feeling. And then there's these magical moments in theater and film and art, like all kinds of art, where it hits a chord and there's this synthesis that happens, this synergistic energy between the audience and even though it's film and it's not live, I feel like the audience, even if you never dance or you say you can't dance or whatever, the energy of it comes through the screen and you're in it, you know? And that's also just the amazing Steadicam work in that film where you really are in it. But it's also just the brilliance of the music that's put in, the editing, the every bit of the dancing and the performances. I think the audience really gets a really close experience of what it's like to dance for joy and just do it. Anyway, I think that's what, if I've never really examined that before. So
I completely agree. And I love the energy of the film and how the pace changes during the day. There's these very slow panning shots and everything's got a different pace to it. But then, as you say, Johnny comes into the room, it's all steady cams, you're going through the audience and you feel like you're actually there.
yeah, yeah, it's so smart.
Mm.
I just wonder, I can't even imagine what Emil might have done had he lived. And did you ever see He Makes Me Feel Like Dancing, his documentary?
Yeah, amazing.
Again, I mean, like another person like Jacques Demois, who had that kind of energy where he would get on stage and you get some of that through the camera. I mean, you get a lot of that through the camera, but it's only like a third of what he was like in person or to watch him dance, you know. And Patrick Swayze has that, and Jennifer Grey has that, and Cynthia
Yeah.
has, you know. Yeah, it's such a love letter to that time period in a way that is not actually, you know, blinders on nostalgia. I mean, it is an abortion movie. I always have my smash the patriarchy button on, and I don't. Where's my smash? Anyway, Dirty Dancing is totally a feminist movie, um, and I think there's that too. If you're watching for that, you have to remind people all the time, um, especially right wing fascist bastards, like, oh, you love me in that film? You know, it's a feminist film. You know.
Exactly. And it's a really important conversation. The fact that it was featured in a movie in the 1980s as well is a testament to how rare that still is.
Oh yeah, and also I think it's this weird little fulcrum that it sits on because for those of us who were 23 when we made the movie, looking back that way, it seemed like ancient history because although I was born before Roe v. Wade was law, right? It my formative years, you know, from the time was I think it was like 11, right? So from then on, it was just assumed fact. And so
Mm.
you're looking back and you weren't looking back thinking, oh, this right might be taken away from us. And here we are now jumping ahead, like from those 30 years on and going, oh my God, you know, don't take anything for granted because really cursing word, put insert curse word, insert curse word, insert curse word, insert another really foul piece of language here.
I'm going to insert them.
Great. Any ones that you want. Men, mostly, will, you know, in their reactionary death cultist fervor to end the earth and oppress us all, take it away from you. So dance, you know, dance them into the ground is my political statement.
There's always people trying to make the world worse about issues that don't even affect them. So all we can really do is just try and counter that with conversations and education and dance.
Oh yeah, and lots of grinding.
Lots of grinding.
So I would like to see you grind.
It can happen. I'm just very aware that I'm filming it.
That's the thing. So like, you know, post Dirty Dancing and moving to Philadelphia. I mean, I lived in LA for a while, but then I moved here, and my entire career from that point on is. I mean, it's been a lot of things. Obviously, I do a lot of things, but thematically, it's yeah. Of course, you can dance. We're all born artists, and you're born with the right to dance. And
Yeah.
every body has a vocabulary, and you know, when you read things like about Boris Johnson, like you should get up and counter that by putting on your favorite music and doing whatever your body does. And maybe you should tape it and send it to me so I can see it.
The next time we do one of these, because incidentally, you're welcome on my show anytime. We're going to have to do it in person. We're going to have some choreography. We're going to do a flash mob. It's going to be incredible.
Yes, I have this obscure old dirty dancer. Doesn't everybody want to hear her ramble on with her not too consistent memories about a movie she made 30 years ago?
You think that's a problem? You've just got a YouTuber to dance with. So I wasn't even in Dirty Dancing.
You are magnificent, and the work that you do is magnificent, and the love and amazing power that you have for what you do is so much more important than any of the shit that has to do with my dance career.
That movie and just all the stuff you've done has entertained me my entire life. And
I'm so glad.
seriously, I love that movie. I watched it 3 times one day because I got the DVD. I watched it, then I watched it with an audio commentary. Then I had another audio commentary and I watched it again.
Wait, who was doing the audio? Was it like Kenny or Mia?
Kenny's doing one and I have it behind me.
I think I've watched.
There's an audio commentary with Eleanor Bergstein and an audio commentary with Kenny Ortega, Miranda Garrison, Jeff Jur, and Hilary Rosenfeld and David Chapmans.
Yeah, those are incredible people. Oh my God. Although I think in one of those, like 15, 20 years, a while ago, I choreographed a version of Grease that we actually got a cease and desist for because it was an all-female cast. And that was just shocking back then. And I was producing it as well. So I got the cease and desist. So we rewrote it and called it Grease and Desist. But those, and oh my God, the talent in that, the people who were engaged in that rewrote the music, like basically in 24 hours. It was an amazing production. But the young women and actors who were in that company came over for a sleepover, and that was probably the first time I watched the movie in 15 years, and I watched it with that audio commentary. We had so much fun, except that I do remember, and I yelled at her for this, is Miranda like refers to me as like we had to cast like the chubby one. I was like, fuck you, bitch.
What?
I was not chubby in that movie. Fuck you, bitch. I mean, it doesn't matter, but again, it was of a different time. It was of a different time. Whole different, I mean, it was just a whole horrible time, and that is something that actually gives me hope. For my spawn and their generation and everybody else's generation. I could just talk to you about the casting processes that happened in the 80s and 90s when I was working in LA. And we could talk about none of that, you couldn't get away with any of that now. And I don't, I'm not a backwards thinking person. I'm not a people either. I might be a people. I have a lot of people inside me. I'm very, very, very content with the way my career has gone and what I do with my life and the fact that I have agency and control, which I discover is more important to me than having other people tell me whether I am pretty enough or good enough or whatever they're feminine enough. A lot of that. You couldn't get away with any of it, and I would have had an utterly different career at this point. But I don't regret it. I want to think, okay, maybe I was part of a movement and I couldn't see the forest for the trees, but I was part of the movement that moved us forward to this place where those retracting reactionary motherfuckers can't impose their really binary, really rigid thinking on your fucking art.
Yeah. I now need to do another audio commentary for that movie where I describe you as the amazing dancer and the coolest one in the whole film. I will. I'm just going to record over that scene.
I'm sure it would be delightful to hear you recording over any of the scenes. That's a good idea. Maybe somebody has done it. Oh, way back in the Wayback Machine in LA when I was doing improv in LA, one of the groups I was with, we would do this. It was before technology existed, back in the old days. We would tell people to turn on Star Trek, which I'm obsessed with. It happened my whole life, and it was the whole reason my husband and I met and fell in love. We wrote letters to each other about original Star Trek, and that is what we fell over. And I mean it. We got married after one date. But
that's incredible. Belated congratulations, by the way. I didn't have the opportunity to say it at the time because there was no technology, but now massive congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And retroactively, thank you. But we would tell people to tune into Star Trek, which was playing on the local station in LA, and we would tell them to turn on to a radio, a number on the radio and a station, but our station, dedicated station, and we would dub it live, like Mystery Science Theater, I guess, but like live. And that really, like, Dirty Dancing needs that and needs someone like you to really do the true, like, backstory, the inner monologues, the people in the corner who we never actually highlight or talk about, like the extras, like that old lady who like gets up and dances at the end.
Yes.
Okay, that is my artistic assignment to you. That is what you need to do.
I will not sleep until I've done that, and I've also mastered dance.
You don't have to master dance to dance, and you also don't have to master dance either. And those are nasty ask words. Master dance.
Exactly. Okay, I'll master dance.
There you go. Well, if you want to talk like where I grew up,
Sweetly.
that's good. That's good.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm going to teach you to speak Queens before the end of our interview. You're going to say that there is a there was a problem, there is something wrong with a part of the floor that's underneath your feet, and you're going to say there's a flaw in the floor.
There's a flaw in the floor.
That's really good.
Thank you so much.
Now chew gum, and you're me. You could just substitute for me now.
I'm your stunt double.
There you go.
I'm so happy about this.
New career for you.
I didn't even have to dance at a bar mitzvah, and I've already got a job.
Where did you find that? I don't want to know. I don't know.
I'm so happy about this. I'm gonna record my new commentary for Dirty Dancing. And
hello, time is ticking. Who knows how much longer this planet's going to be here, madam? So you better get this art done.
But there's other planets, so it'll live on.
Are you a Scientologist?
No, but I know there's other planets.
Oh, there are other planets, but you can't live on them. If you're a Mormon, you get to have one. If you're a guy and you die, you get a planet and your own all your wives.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Very happy for them.
Are you?
I'm going to have to make them some content.
You are. And of course, there you go. You need to make them the Sarah O'Connell dubbed Dirty Dancing, the real scoop. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Usually the titles. You have to come up with a good title too.
See, I can tell them fun facts. Like, I know that they painted some of the leaves green because it was almost full.
That they did. It was cold. And that was when they were filming in the water too. So it was a cold day. I remember I was wearing a jacket and a scarf over my head. It was that cold. So they had to paint over the leaves. What other things do you know?
That's the main one. I mostly know about the leaves. And so this really confuses me though. So they painted the leaves green, right? But then in the background, when baby's speaking to her dad and they're looking out on a lake, some leaves fall down. And apparently somebody was manually doing that on the roof, making the leaves fall down in the background. But they were pretending it was still the middle of summer, but still recreating the leaves falling.
You know, you just shouldn't really think about it too hard. Some things were meant to just wash over you. And it is those inconsistencies that make it's the rub the wrong way that makes it art.
Yeah. I mean, I think my first audio commentary, I'll just have to let everything out of my system about the leaves in the movie, and then I can do ones about other subjects. I'm planning a whole series now.
Oh no, I mean from the opening shot.
Yeah.
You should just start talking about the leaves. Oh my God, that's it. The leaf story. Like every scene in that movie, you need to do from either the perspective of the very disgruntled leaf that got painted over and couldn't show its true self. And it's a metaphor for all of us.
So amazing. And then once I've done that, then I'll branch out and do other things.
Oh no. Where's my rim shot?
You just mentioned the beginning of the movie. So here's a question. So the movie starts, it's all in black and white. Were you all actually dancing in slow motion, or did that happen afterwards in post-production?
Do you know? Well, first of all, do you know that growing up as a kid, I don't know how old you are, but growing up as a kid, I was like, wait, I lived in New York in the 60s because I was, born at the end of 62. I don't remember everything being in black and white. So that was a thought I once had. And do you know what it's like we had no idea what the final cut was going to look like. We did some dubbing, so we'd seen some of the cuts of the movies, but when we walk in and then you see yourself in slow motion in black and white to Be My Baby, and there you are. It was it was an out of body experience for a young person to see. But that again, that's genius. Like that editing is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so inspired, and it gets the heart of what the movie is. It's like this is a dance movie. It's like I can't name more than those three movies since like the '60s that were real dance movies.
Mm.
So yeah, it probably owes a lot more to American in Paris and Singing in the Rain, even but more American in Paris, which is a real dance movie, 100% dance movie. Uh, and Stanley Donen, who is more like that, you know. It may be just that I can't wax philosophical about it anymore because I have no more brain cells on that subject, and I have enough coffee.
So speaking of Dirty Dancing, did you ever see Dirty Dancing to Havana Nights?
Never seen the TV show either.
Have you not?
No, no.
I have it on DVD, but I skipped to the part that Patrick Swayze was in, the cameo, and that's all I watched.
I don't even. I mean, I remember when it was happening. There were like demi-famous people in it. Weren't there who was in it?
I'm going to pretend that I know the answer to that while speaking very slowly and typing in. See, the interesting thing is I remember every single person that was in that movie because I think about it every day, and I can tell you confidently that Diego Luna was in the movie. Patrick Swayze was in the movie.
Who's the woman?
Romola Gary. I don't know who the main character is because I haven't watched it.
Okay, well, there you go. I don't know when it came out, but I think I was probably either was pregnant or in the mind-numbing world of having a young child at home, and so I don't remember much about it except for the FOMO and the like really really unenlightened, unevolved sort of jealousy of like being like I'm you don't have any of the original people in it, so it's not real. Like it's not the real thing.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't count. But when you get to be old and you've been in a theater artist your whole life, it's so great when that shit just drops away. Like and you sincerely just start becoming really really happy for everybody who's working, and the competitiveness goes away, and it's so much better to be in that kind of space.
Instantly, you aren't old.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. I'm learning how to accept compliments and positive statements, and okay, thank you. Okay, I'm not old. I mean, I love Zoom filters. The Zoom filter goes and this whole face just drops down to like here, and I have a little bag on my chest. Blah.
It's magical.
It's magical. So, are you a night owl?
So much. Honestly, 99% of the people I interview are in America or sometimes Australia. This is like early evening for me. So there's a big festival in Scotland every year called the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. And
I'm a theater artist. I've heard of it.
Of course. And so I'm not going, but I'm very aware of the fact that, of course, there's thousands of people performing and really huge comedians. And so I think the first time comedians going up there or people that haven't been on TV and stuff like that sometimes struggle just to get their audiences in. And a lot of the time they spent thousands of pounds before the show even starts because they have to hire the venue everywhere, or the hotels or the apartments charge way more than they really should. And it's extortionate. And so they're kind of fighting a losing battle, and it sort of becomes how much money they're going to lose when they go up there, but they do it because there's a chance that they might get discovered or whatever it is. And so I decided to invite a bunch of comedians on my show and not just have me talk about it, but instead I did a brief introduction, but it's all about them. And so they all had like 2 or 3 minutes each to sell their show however they wanted to in any way. And so I had 30 comedians in that episode, and I edited it all through the night last night, finished at 7 a.m.
Oh my God.
Then posted it online, then spent 2 hours messaging 30 comedians and agents and whoever else, and got a few hours sleep, got back up again, and got ready for today.
Do you want my coffee?
I appreciate that. That's great. Just throw it at the screen.
I'm sure you probably have tea. I did watch one. I watched that. I watched it, and I don't know when you put the Dr. Kaboom. Is that
Dr. Kaboom, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I just want to go see this show right now.
Same.
Completely in love and just totally excited about him, his clown, the whole thing, the whole kaboom. It's fabulous. It's incredible that you're doing those for people. I've never brought a show to that French. I have produced and performed at most of the fringes here in the States, and I know how much money you lose, especially in
Mm,
Edinburgh when you're competing with everybody. And what do you have to like busk most of the time and not sleep so that you can get people in? So you're amazing, like I said before. And what an incredible gift you have given those people and the audiences who are going to get to discover people who are not names, which is, let's not even talk about the
yeah,
fact that why a fringe festival exists and what a fringe festival is supposed to be as opposed to what the fringe festivals have become.
exactly. You know, I love art and I love entertainment, and I want there to be more of it. And I want everyone to keep succeeding, but I also want other people to have a chance and follow their dreams. And if I can help them in any capacity, I do. So I don't care if someone's got the biggest movie in the world or they're a first-time director and they've taken a loan and they've just filmed things in their backyard with their friends, and but they really believe in the project. And I want to speak to anybody creative, anybody where I love their work. And I think that's really important. And so people that watch my show may not know everybody on it, or they may not know the 30 Edinburgh comedians, but they might know some of them, and they'll be introduced to others, and I think that's amazing.
It is amazing. It's pretty great. It's pretty great to walk and talk, to authentically walk and talk your kind of artistic mission every single day in your life mission. It's pretty cool. You're so cool.
You're the coolest, so I have the coolest people on my show, and you are one of them.
Gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm learning. I'm going to just say thank you. Thank you instead of deflecting. Say no. Thank you very much. That's a big compliment coming from you, and I really appreciate it.
I genuinely mean it.
I know that's why it's overwhelming and why I'm being funny because I'm a little overwhelmed and verklempt about it. So thank you very much.
Honestly, anytime anyone ever compliments me, I normally end up heckling myself.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it, so I just start roasting myself for some reason. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We probably shouldn't, but then again, would we be in the business of making people laugh if that wasn't our first instinct to do
yeah,
that?
I know.
When are you going to do a piece about my wall?
I'm going to do a whole series on it. I mean, I'm going to be pitching it to studios too. We had blue screen, we had green screen. I think yellow screen is the way to go. It needs to be that exact color. I think we should copyright it somehow and sell that color to people. They should be licensing it from you. There should be musicals, there should be books, audio books, people just describing the wall.
Oh, this is good. Also, I think there are some opportunities for you to make money, and you can like move into like philosophy, like Picasso Zoom. Is this yellow that you're seeing the yellow that I'm seeing in my house with my eyes in real time? You know,
But we could say that about every color. I don't know for sure that people experience color in the same way that I do.
I know that's the whole. What is blue?
Yeah.
What is blue? And then, of course, do the Greeks even have a word for blue? Why is it a wine dark sea? What the hell is going on with culture? Language gets in the way of everything. What is the metaphor for the Tower of Babel? How do we connect and communicate with people when we're stuck in these meat bodies and our flapping meat tongues? And, everything is got to be distilled through the symbolic, communication level that is, words and logic when you're just having thoughts and emotions and
I was
do we
about to say that exact same thing.
I know.
We're
And I
just
think
we're in tune now.
100% past a time difference of like 6 hours or 5 hours and a couple of thousand miles of Atlantic hot ocean.
Sea monsters.
Sea monsters. Have you ever seen a sea monster?
Well, a monster's only a monster if you perceive it to be one. If you befriended it.
You have a lot of thoughts about that.
Too many.
Too many thoughts about that.
Yeah. There's going to be thousands of audio commentaries for Dirty Dancing, and some of them are going to be quite off topic.
Yes, please. Yes, please. And you can do the whole, lay in the whatever Greek mythology monsters. Like you can lay in a whole like Gorgon one. You can do a whole one for what's her name? The Medusa.
Yeah.
You do some witchcraft ones. I'm there for it. I'm there for it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
I'm going to. Instantly, I went to Athens once, and I used to love Greek mythology when I was growing up. I was really into just learning about, all different cultures and things that people believe. And a tour guide said to me, they refer to it as mythology and, all these made up stories and stuff. And I was like, wait, you don't actually believe this? I'm very upset because I was hoping you had the Medusa and everything. And
Oh, so you were crushed. When was
yeah,
that? Like last year, 2 years ago? When was that?
I was about 20 something, but it's just, I would have liked it if everyone worshipped Zeus and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's what they market. It's their gross national.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. I've been teaching myself Greek very slowly, and I'm actually reading right now. I'm reading a book called Circe, which is like a retelling of the Circe myth, and I'm reading a book called Pandora's Jar, which is a real opening up of the sort of diluted stories that we get that are really misogynistic
Yeah.
through modern English culture and Anglophone, like the Green Tales, and how wrong they are and how really badly translated they are. And so, oh my God, I am in the middle of Medea, and it is overwhelming. Like my heart races just reading about Euripides, instead of even just like reading the play, but reading about it is enough to get your heart kind of racing. It's glorious and overwhelming, and it's too much. It's too much for those very narrow-minded, oppressive, like XY guys who have tried to ruin the world.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. We're here making art.
Yeah, we are, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
I think so.
And being monsters in our good monster way. Like if you were going to be a monster, which monster would you want to be? Monster in quotation marks.
That's interesting. One that could sneeze happiness.
That's good because it's like infecting people with joy.
Yeah, and also if you accidentally sneeze on them, at least they're not going to be mad at you.
Oh, you just gave me COVID. Thank you. I'm so happy. That's so nice of you. Have you had COVID yet?
I haven't had it.
I was so in that group. I was so like, I haven't had it. Got my second booster and I haven't had it yet. And then my spawn and their partner came home and
No.
so we all had it.
Sorry to hear that. But yeah, no, I've just been very antisocial for about 2 years, and I'll go to a movie theatre during the day and strategically get seats so I know I aren't near anybody and always wear a mask, got vaccinated. It doesn't mean I won't get it, but at least I'm trying to minimize the chance of that and to keep everyone else safe as well.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's really important. And yeah, I try to do the same, but then if you have your offspring cough in your face with COVID, it's unavoidable. But again, so happy. We were 5 weeks out of our booster when we got it, and I was like, oh, I could see how this thing would want to kill me. It's trying to kill me, and I'm okay because I'm fully vaccinated. It's an insane part of history we're in the middle of, and it's impossible to gauge or get any perspective on it because we're in the middle of such an incredible storm of so much, and I just hope it's change and for the better, and we just can't really process it or feel it because we're the people in the middle of making it or having it made while we're here.
Yeah, and I think nobody has a point of reference for it because there's been nothing like that in our lifetimes.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And thank God for Zoom, because then you get to talk to all the people you want to talk to.
But this is why it's great that I don't ever sleep, because
you have to sleep.
Not really. Why?
just because of the hallucinations. And the people who are in your apartment who aren't there.
I think that's something a hallucination would say.
What would it say? I'm not here. Why are you talking to me? It's all a big hallucination anyway.
But it's great to have the company, so that's good.
Yes. I'm glad your hallucinations give you good company. That's
I
excellent.
think so. But I think what it is more, I lived in America instantly for a year, and I've kind of just always been on that time zone. It just works for me. I'm very much a night owl.
Yeah, I mean, I have been during long periods of my life too. Where in America did you live?
I lived in California.
Where?
I can tell you, it was in Thousand Oaks, or to be more specific, Newbury Park.
Oh, okay. Do you know
Hmm.
that last I knew, I think Kenny Ortega used to live in Thousand Oaks or in that
Really?
area. Yeah, I don't remember where specifically, and I probably shouldn't say that people like drive around, but yeah, I lived in the valley for a while. Man, I know, but not fancy like that area. Um, a little further towards Hollywood and in North Hollywood. I lived there.
Amazing. I really miss it, and I'd love to go back one day. And I'll try and find an excuse to if I can.
You don't need an excuse. Just get in touch with one of the scores of incredible artists and people who live in California who you've interviewed and tell them that you're coming over to their house.
There is that. Well, that's the other thing. I know more people now in California than I do in England.
Oh, that's kind of amazing. And also, oh,
I mean, I know people in England, but
oh, you do. Do you even exist? Or are you your own hallucination?
exciting. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Well, what are you going to do now when you hang up with me?
I wasn't planning to. I was actually going to keep this going and just, come walk past, say hi every now and again.
It's fun. You can call me anytime and catch me in various yellow painted rooms in my
Yeah.
house.
The only thing I do need you to do is to duck down at one point so I can get a shot of that, so I can have it as my background in future Zoom
I'll send it
calls.
to you, and you
Yeah.
can. So you can do your piece. I'll take a picture of it. I'll send it to you, and you can use it as your background. And
That'd be so great because, if I'm going to be promoting this musical and the book and the audiobook and all that kind of stuff that we're doing, it'd be great to actually have the background.
Disgruntled Leaf. That's the name of it. The True Dirty Dancing Story.
It's going to be so great.
How one piece of foliage came to find its voice and speak its truth. You're gonna have to choreograph it. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah. I mean, now that I'm your stunt double, it's a lot easier for me to do that. I was just basically waiting for permission because you taught some basic dancing at the end of that concert, but now I feel free to go and learn more. And apparently you can just make names up of dances, which helps me a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And then you can also just assume that everybody should know it.
Yeah.
Make it up. This is what I call the spilling my tea bag. And then I don't know why those words, but I also haven't slept. And then you just assume people should know that move.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing when that happens in England, and so I'd have to convey a face of disappointment.
It is a sad thing that you people drink that swill, but no, I like tea. I just can't drink it. I can't drink it. It really hurts me, and it's sad. Yeah, no, I
Do you take it out of the wrapper or what? It shouldn't hurt you.
I just eat it. Aren't you supposed to just eat it?
You keep it in the box and you just chew on the whole thing.
It gives me such terrible heartburn, and it doesn't. And I just love like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, tea with cream and sugar and biscuits. I like it's my happy place, but I can't drink it. It makes me sick. It's so sad. So I just
Outrageous.
drink coffee and be an American and drink coffee.
I can only apologize on behalf of tea. I'm outraged that it would do that.
Well, you Brits co-opted it from elsewhere in the world too. So, I mean, I will have conversations.
They really did.
On.
It's not good. I have a few more questions, if that's okay, like actual
God,
questions.
yeah.
Not related to our audiobook or anything. Most of my questions are about your wall, but
go ahead and ask me whatever you want.
Thank you so much. So what's your social security now?
You won't be getting much good out of that, I promise you.
So Jennifer Grey is reportedly coming back for a new Dirty Dancing movie. Have you heard anything about it? They contacted you. Would you be interested in returning to the franchise?
They're not going to contact me.
They should.
They're not going to. They should. Sure, they should. No, but they're not going to contact me. And I know she wrote this book, and I actually want to read it. And I think I heard like inklings of it. She should do whatever makes her happy and lets her shine. She's incredibly talented and has not gotten to do or have the kind of career that she deserves to have. And again, so so marginalized and limited by who cares about her nose? Like that was the thing. I always think aliens are going to come here and like hear stories like that and just be like, we have to prophylactically destroy this planet and this culture because what the fuck is wrong with you people? Yeah, so she should do whatever. If it makes her happy, it makes her feel fantastic and great. I can't wait to see it. And no, nobody's going to contact me because why they were like, oh yeah, we want that woman who never spoke a line, chewed gum to steal scene focus, and is almost 60 years old to be in our movie to be what? The old lady in the front with the walker who says, I used to dance like that.
I'm going to be petitioning the studio and everyone, tagging them in it, getting them involved with this.
Thank you.
You're the main dancer in the movie. They can't not have it's ridiculous. Changing the subject, finally, from Dirty Dancing, you're also credited with doing stunts in Hocus Pocus.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come about? What stunts were you doing?
It came about through the magnificent, beneficent generosity of Kenny Ortega and Greg Smith, who was the casting director. They got me a gig to be Kathy Najimy's stunt double. And again, another amazing, totally like fairy tale kind of experience. Like, first of all, the pay was a lot better than, in Dirty Dancing, the 8 of us could only have the job non-union. And so when people would be like, oh, you must be rolling dice, I'm like, no, don't make a dime off Dirty Dancing. I don't really care that I don't, but but Hocus Pocus, there was a lot of flying, and I'm a theater person, and I never got to fly. I never got to play Peter Pan, even though I've played Artful Dodger. I'm like sort of that great kind of that role written for like that androgynous looking little alto who can dance. So I got to fly, which was a dream of mine. And I got to be costumed as Kathy Najimy's character, and her character flew a vacuum cleaner. This is my very bad space work for a vacuum cleaner. Whatever, but it was a vacuum cleaner, and I learned how to stunt fly. It was amazing. You get harnessed up. At the first, they didn't think about physics, and they didn't hollow the vacuum cleaner out, which was a problem. And I have an injury still, but they did pay for the chiropractor and all the acupuncture I got. But I learned how to fly, and that, oh my God, it was so much fun. And I think it's because I have ADHD that I love film so much because, and this, for theater has a different kind of focus that I love too, so much. But film, you have to like keep doing the same thing over and over again. And if you can look at it as a puzzle that you keep, like, where can you find the fresh moment every time you do that same take? There's something really, it keeps my brain active and focused and really excited about it. So it was really fun work for me. He was British, wasn't he? Did you read Charlotte's Web growing up?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is back in the 80s or the 90s, early 90s, it was like 90 something. It was right after my dad died. So it was like 90, 91, I think we made it. And I just remember that because I was like flying back for a fresh start back to LA, and I had this movie, and so there was something to look forward to. And we had our own trailers, and back then it was like you could watch any video that they had on the Disney lot. And so I remember one day I had this incredible life-changing moment, is that I watched the video of Charlotte's Web, which my mother read to me when I was little, but my mother didn't ever want my brother and I to experience anything bad in life. And so she never read me the end of Charlotte's Web. And I was 28 years old before I found out that Charlotte dies in the end. I called my mother from my trailer and I said, Charlotte sacrifices her own life for Wilbur, and you never told me this. She dies. She dies in the end. Debbie Reynolds dies in the end of this movie as a spider. So that was a really important thing that happened to me on the Disney lot making Hocus Pocus.
I had a similar thing happen, although the end of the film wasn't as bad, but I recorded Disney's Robin Hood on TV on a VHS tape. And for some reason, I didn't realize this. I hadn't recorded the end of the movie. I thought it ended in a different way. And there's this whole goes off and he's arrested and he's in prison for a while. I later saw the film, it was on TV decades later, and there's this whole extra part of the movie, and I was so confused. So I'd watched this so much as a kid, and I was like, what is this extra bit of the film? They couldn't have just added this. What is it? Outrageous.
It's really jarring when stuff like that happens. I love how you thought it like kind of had this soft ending,
Yeah.
like really not Hollywood ending, like an open court kind of ending.
Didn't
Where
even
like
have credits.
that's just
It
so
just
artsy.
stopped.
Did you ever used to record things from television onto like reel to reel or cassette tape?
Yeah.
Like TV shows, yeah, yeah. I have a
I
lot
spoke
of
to, so he sadly passed away now, but Bob Saget, I spoke to him 4 or 5 months before he died. And I spoke to him actually about the fact that Full House used to be on TV while I was just coming home from school. So I used to tape it every single day. And so that's how I saw a lot of shows like that.
oh, yeah. I saw part of that interview. It's really hard. I still can't kind of watch. I can't watch it yet, not yet.
When I edited that interview, I basically cried the entire time. And I knew there were scenes that I wanted to put in my trailer, and I found it so hard.
You know, what a magnificent and incredible, it's just incredible. Yeah, it's collective mourning, and it's going to take a while before, uh, you know, I'm going to be able to sit and watch anything that he's done. And then Gilbert Gottfried, I was like, I watched part of that too. He looked like he was maybe not feeling great. It sounded great on it. It's just kind of amazing. Um,
Yeah, there's so many amazing people that we've lost, and it's terrible, but I guess they will live on in their work and so many people's memories. And I think the important thing is too, they made so many people's lives better.
yeah.
And I think that's the most you can ever hope to do in your life.
I mean, it is, we're saturated with so much, and it's hard to really experience how good so much of the media, so much art there is, so many things that are good for the soul, and that you lose your it loses objectivity. Like, there's such a glut of it, um, and it's really hard to like kind of take it all in. Um, but they do, like, every once in a while you gotta step back and go like, oh, I just watched something that changed me or made me feel so much better. It just elevated my mood. It took me out of myself for a minute. I feel like reset. And it could be like watching Full House, or is that what it was called? Full House?
Yeah,
I never watched it. It's big on his stand up because he's filthy, and I
yeah,
love
of course.
that
Yeah,
face.
completely different.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that face, and he's just uh, like almost like Buddy Hackett, like a couple of old school comedians that were, just so incredibly filthy. Red Fox, like and brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you can still watch them. When my husband and I want to laugh really hard, sometimes we'll find old Johnny Carson's on YouTube and watch those four just fall down a hole for hours.
It's
Yeah.
the best. I mean, I spend most of my time watching comedy just to counteract the news and just stuff going on in the world.
I need to definitely follow more. I want to find new comedians. I love when I find somebody who really pushes something on me that makes me really happy. Like the first time I saw Sarah Silverman, or just like so many people, Tig, Tara, like any, like these people who like I go, or Hannah Gatsby, who anytime I can go see. And then there are people whose names are not big, and I wanna find them. When I grew up in New York City, I used to go to comedy clubs all the time, and it's not really, there's a comedy scene here in Philly, but I haven't really done it. So now I'm going to use this connection to bring some joy into my life that you will bring to me by helping me discover new comedians. That will make me very happy. So again, you are doing, as we say from the Hebrew tribe, a mitzvah for the world.
I love that. And yeah, I'll keep introducing you to comedy. We can go on tour and watch comedy and then do our dance show that we're going to do.
Spilling the tea bag.
Exactly.
Not to be confused with spilling the tea.
But not drinking it.
Not
I can't. Want to, just can't.
exactly.
Disagrees with us.
It disagrees with us.
It does.
Even though I'd like
And then it says, no, I don't.
but you need to have somebody who just walks with you and just rim shot or I took comedy sports for 1,000,500 gazillion years, and we have a Groner Fellow, and you would just be in relentless Groner Foul. I'd have to drop the flag as the ref on you all the time, and then you'd have to apologize and get the audience to forgive you for your Groner. So work on your forgiveness speeches.
I will. Unless I become the sneezing happiness monster, in which case won't be a problem.
I may have to. I can't draw, but I'll have to figure out what that monster looks like, because that is and it needs a good Greek name. I'll have to do a little research on. Like, it needs the perfect, really terrifying sounding, fantastic name. So many art thoughts.
I mean, this is why I don't sleep, because now I've got drawing to do. I'm going to have to make some kind of costume for this, some kind of sneezing mechanism, and then I've got to bottle pure happiness. That's probably the easiest part of it. I can probably get that on eBay or something.
We can at least get those burp bottles that you make like beer and stuff in, so that it has some carbonation room so it doesn't explode. Because what are you going to do? There's going to be a news report that there is exploding happiness from whichever street you live in, and it'll make it to the front of like whatever BBC station runs that particular news.
Yeah. Then there'll be a happiness shortage because there's a concentrated area of happiness, and then
and there'll be what you call it, travel trade. There'll be a container ship, and it'll float too high, filled with happiness, and then there'll be a problem with air traffic. You could go on and on,
but nobody will be sad about it,
and everybody will be okay.
Now, speaking of which, you were in a short film in 2015 called Wish You Were Here, which
yeah.
I've seen.
No, what?
I've seen it. I've seen it. I can send you a link. I'm not even joking. I found it.
How did you find it? Did anything make the cuts? Oh my God, the guy who played my husband, that was so funny. It was such a good time that day. Really?
So it's like 4 minutes long, and if you go to Austin Case, the director's website, he describes it though not as a short film but as a concept trailer. So what's the idea of it to be a full feature-length film?
I think I remember. I just did another proof of concept movie like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I got to play another outrageous character. They make them. I don't know if you can hear, that's our garage door opening up. Husbands pulled the electric Mini into the carport. I think it was a proof of concept. I don't remember. I think I auditioned for that kind of like over a Zoom or whatever the equivalent was back in 2015. I'm fascinated. I would love to see this. I have no idea. I'm always upset when I see myself on film and I go, but I always have such a great time. I just have a great time being on set and making, like, there's a freedom. It's so different than stage, and I was born on this stage, and then my first performance was like 3. Just so comfortable, born to be there. But there is something. I made a vow that once I hit 60, I'm gonna like re-look at like getting back into actually doing some on-camera work now, because I feel like I don't care if somebody tells me that I'm not pretty enough or I don't look the part anymore or whatever. I'm just like, I don't care. I'm a grown-up now, and I miss being funny on film, and so I gotta. You're making me go, yeah, right, Karen. You made a vow to yourself and your therapist that you were gonna do this. So thank you, and I'm gonna watch this and go, no, Karen, don't do that. Look how terrible you are. It's awful.
You know what my favorite part of that is? So it's 4 minutes long. Your name is, of course, Karen Getz, right?
Yeah, is it not?
No. But you're called Sharon Getz.
I know. Isn't that weird?
Any relation? You look a lot alike.
We do look a lot of. Getz is not a common Jewish name in where I grew up in Queens, and not in Philadelphia, except that I bought it. The house I live in is a twin, and when we bought this house 28 years ago, the people who live on the other side of the house are Getzes, and they're Jewish, and they spell their name the same way. It's weird. And so, but I've only seen like 2 characters ever. One character, I think, is it Die Hard, where one of the characters' name is Getz, Rob?
Leo Getz.
Yes. So it's odd. So when I saw that script, I was like, yeah, that is really weird, but it's coincidence. Weird coincidence. But you totally have to send me the link.
I really will. I was so happy when I found it.
Oh, look, spouse keys. Spouse.
Hello. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Say hi.
Hello, what's going on?
I'm talking to Sarah.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Look at him. Hi, honey.
Oh, he's gone. I have 50 more questions for him. We'll do that interview separately. That's fine.
He he'd be behind answering questions. on our one date, which was like 3 days long, he walked into an on-camera improv class I was teaching, which is like, using your skills as an improviser
Sure.
to do better commercial auditions. And he's a lawyer. He came in and gave notes after watching, totally unasked for. So he's not inhibited. He would answer your questions.
That's spectacular. Well, I'm going to get to work on that too. I've got such a list of things I need to do now. But I need to congratulate you, by the way. You've received 3 Barrymore Awards.
Yeah. You're like, what are those? They're wonderful. They're named after the Barrymore family, which is connected to, of course, Philadelphia. I won, and when they started when I moved here, they didn't exist before I moved here. They started the year I moved here. And 2 of them are for Suburban Love Songs, which was this original ballet that I made, which the pinnacle of my career. Dancing was important, but Suburban Love Songs was the pinnacle of my career as an artist. Another incredible magical thing I made that was I'm sure you know all about it more than I do, even though I made it. But it was a ballet I made, a comic actors ballet for the company of improvisers who I work for, who I just think I knew they're the funniest things, and I knew they could do this clowning piece, and I knew that I could open up their dancing, and they all have this. It's a celebration of people who are not dancers dancing and being funny. And so we won one for best ensemble, and I won one for best choreographer. And then I did a incredible dream production of Hair, which I'd been choreographing in my head since I was a child, since it was Guys and Dolls and Hair were the 2 albums that I grew up and performed in my living room all the time as a child. I grew up in an apartment building, and I would make my parents and my brother stay in their bedrooms, and I wouldn't let them out for hours at a time. And I was very wee, and I would choreograph all these shows, including Hair. And so I had this incredible company, and I got to choreograph the hair that I saw in my head with one of my 2 other husbands. I have 2 other husbands. That's my romantic husband, and then I have 2 working partners, 2 directors I work with, Richard Patterson and Kevin Glaucom. And so that was with Richard, and we made this. It was just so good. We made this incredible production here, and I'm very proud of it. So I was glad I won an award for that. It was nice. That's
amazing. Yeah, you've worked on so many incredible productions over the years, and I was wondering which one was your favorite, and that's amazing.
I mean, Suburban Loves was my favorite because the company members tell me that it was their favorite time to be on stage, because it was just this very singular moment in time where we had so much fun doing it, and making it was. It took me 10 years really to conceive of it, and then also to get the guts to try to produce it, to write. We used to have this incredible grant program here called the Philadelphia Theater Initiative, and it had only been for companies. And like a year before I applied, they started opening up to individual artists. And actually the woman who I make theater with now, the person I make The Gorgiosity with now, the amazing and incomparable clown, singer, artist Dawn Filato, won one of the first ones of those for a piece that she made. And I applied for it, and actually what pushed me to do it was I was choreographing another show with this incredible diva in Philadelphia who wound up dying that year, just way too early. And she said to me, you have to make this, and you have to put a place for me on stage. And so there is actually a chair in Suburban Love Songs in one of the scenes. That's Jalene's chair. That's for her. That's our like company secret, whatever that was there. But yeah, fun, but I could never name a favorite. I've had so much joy making funny dancers with actors and dancers in this. It's a secret community. We don't tell other people about it, because then more people from New York will move down here, because you can like live an affordable life and make art here and have a great life. So we don't We don't need, but actually, if you want to come here, this is a city filled with art and political activism and history. It's an amazing place.
There's one place I've never been, so I'm going to have to go and visit there next.
Oh my God, you absolutely have to come. I'm like, we have like, we could make it like a whole B&B experience for you here. I was like, oh, hon, you have to come to Philadelphia. There's no place like it. You'll come upstairs, and if my spawn is still not here, still up at school, then, we'll make the B&B. You get our bedroom and everything. Serious, you come.
I'll be here in about 10 to 12 hours.
Good luck getting an affordable flight.
We're going to make it happen.
You don't want to come here in the summer. Trust me, it's between two rivers. It's a swamp.
That sounds quite good. We don't have enough swamps here.
You don't really? Do you have swamps? Where in the UK do you have swamps?
I don't think we have many swamps.
No, you don't.
Just castles everywhere. Castles, fog.
Lousy with castles and no swamps.
Can't move for castles. Just castles everywhere.
Did you, when you were doing this terrifying research on me, did you find any old Cecily and Gwendolyn's fantastical stuff?
I found loads of stuff of you just even doing like performance art and interpretive dance and loads of different everything.
I used to play this clown with somebody who unfortunately I don't have any kind of speaking relationship anymore. But she's a brilliant improviser. And we used to do this 2-person show for about 10 years called Cecily and Gwendolyn's Fantastical, where we were two.
The English accent.
Yeah,
I've seen you do that. Yeah.
We're from Bristol. My character's supposedly from Bristol. I don't know where I brought that up. Oh, I think it was something about swamps and you coming to visit. But you could take. We used to travel in a hot air balloon that traveled through time and space that Jules Verne gave us.
We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. So come here. I'm serious about that. It's not just it's not a Hollywood promise. It's a real person promise.
Well, I very much appreciate that, and I will endeavour to do my very best to come. I mean, I would genuinely love to. I've never been there, and I love America.
Absolutely have to come to Philadelphia. It is an incredible place. But come in the spring when the weather is actually nice and it could fool you into like being a lovely place. And before you do though, you have to do research on Gritty. If you don't know who Gritty is, you need to find out who Gritty is, and then you have to decide how much protection you need for your soul before you come where the hockey mascot looks like Gritty.
See, I don't know what Gritty looks like, so I'm now, unless I do, I don't know. If Gritty's being featured on John Oliver or something like that, I don't know, maybe I'll recognise.
Gritty has showed up on John Oliver. Yeah, and Stephen Colbert, because
that'll be the reason I said that then, because I think I have seen them.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's just a standard for anybody, any celebrity or comedian in America to make fun of Philadelphia for any number of reasons. And John Oliver does something, magically destructive and evil.
I know Gritty. I've just Googled Gritty. I know Gritty.
The thing about Gritty, I don't know if you know much about puppets, but Gritty doesn't have fixed eyes, which is like the number one, horrible rule broken. And so he's just always like, he's magnificent. He encapsulates everything about what makes Philadelphia amazing and terrifying and like no other place in America.
Now I need to get Gritty on my show. It's going to be a whole thing.
Good luck with that. If you need help, you let me know.
I'm planning it all out in my head. Booked the flight already, but I'm going to see if they can change it to springtime. I mean, I say flight, it was a hot air balloon. I was going to drift over the Atlantic.
You could just drift, Thinking if you set it for just straight linear time, you will show up here, and it's a pretty straightforward flight. So.
It's quite easy, yeah, I imagine. Apart from the sea monsters.
But who we think might sneeze happiness now. So
yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do. What other terrifying things do you know about me?
Most of them, but I actually want to ask the pronunciation of something, because I've thought about this a lot, and I've decided that it might be pronounced gorgiosity.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's exactly what it's pronounced. And you've got it right in the first try.
I'm so happy.
It's a testament to your innate gorgeosity.
Because it's got the word gorgeous in it. Yes. But I decided it wasn't gorgeosity, it was gorgiosity.
A lot of people read it when they read it for the first time. We did a pseudo TED Talk for an improv group 2 weeks ago, and it was pronounced gorgeous-ity. And it's fine. I mean, it's gorgeous to pronounce it any way you want, but it is the gorgiosity. and not to be confused with, is it Burgess who wrote Clockwork Orange? Anthony Burgess, who has the word in it, but it's not that, because that's horrible and dystopic, and we don't do dystopic. Our whole point is anti-dystopic. But yes, the Gorgiosity, that's the thing I do with Dawn Falato. And
Yeah. I'm so happy about that. I looked at it several times and I thought I'm going to commit to Gorgiosity and just see what happens.
because you're a born improviser, and so you did, and you did it.
Yeah. I had to do it. I mean, it was potential chaos, but I walked towards it just to find out what would happen. I could have been ridiculed, never worked in this town again, the town being my own house, but I did it anyway.
And look, you didn't fire yourself, and I'm very proud of you. And
I do something when I want a day off, I do, but then I bring myself back again.
That's good. You need to hire yourself a fake assistant if you don't have one yet.
Like people have even offered to work on my show, but I just I like working on it. And it's this thing that I sort of sculpt and make into something, and I plan it.
No, not a real assistant, a fake assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Who with a really funny name and a full background, who can like do all the stuff that you don't want to do for you, and also anything that you're uncomfortable doing, your fake assistant can do for you.
Now it takes so much pressure off if I had that.
When you come here, you catch a cheap flight. When you come to Philly, if whatever the airlines are, Southwest, they got a nice flight, you could fly down. My mother would put you up if you want to go to Boynton Beach, Florida. She'll put you up.
This is perfect. I love your family. You're so hospitable. Didn't make the connection until 4 seconds ago. The other day, I found an American-themed restaurant that sells Philly cheesesteaks, and I'd never had one before. Amazing.
Okay, well, we will give you a real Philly cheesesteak, because there's no way that anywhere in England that you can get the kind of cheese whiz. I mean, I'm sure you.
Cheese whiz.
But she wants to have an authentic one.
No, that's bullshit.
He doesn't eat he's from Provolone. Yeah, he doesn't.
Provolone.
He has it with provolone. That's a real. He'll make sure you have one of those. And one of our iconic Philly cheesesteaks places actually burnt down last week.
Sorry to hear that.
It's junk.
Yeah, well, he has opinions about this. I mean, I was a vegetarian for a really long time, so I never ate them. And then I have celiac disease, so I still can't eat them because I can't eat them. But they look like something, if I could eat it, I would want to try it at least once.
Sure.
Onions. It should have kind of like the bread should be a little soggy on the inside and crunchy on the outside, and grilled onions on that inside of discernible beef. What animal does it come from? You shouldn't really know.
Never question it.
Processed cheese, grilled onions, and there you have it. We have so much. Our food here is so much better than that. We're actually considered now the foodie city on the East Coast. So we have a lot of really cool, really hip chefs who've moved here to make the food scene. But we do have a really good food scene. So.
Oh, this is so great. I'm going to have to plan where I'm going to eat. I'm going to have to see tons of theatre on your advice, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. And then if you ever come here, I can take you to fake Miami, and you can have a fake chili cheese steak.
Oh my God. Any excuse to go to England is okay by me and by my man over there. We oh my God, we still want to. We haven't been anywhere in so long.
So I'm going to ask you an actual question again now. Although all the stuff we just said was scripted.
Yeah.
I anticipated all of it.
I know. You're that good.
Here's a question that I ask every guest on the Sarah O'Connell show. Can you tell me a fun fact about you? Something we may not know, a hobby, a party trick, something like that.
How did I miss that in all your other interviews? Any fun fact about me? Rob, is there anything fun fact about me? None. No, you dare be filthy.
You have no fine motor skills.
I don't. Yeah, that. Okay, there you go. I am really coordinated when it comes to things like dancing or doing athletics or walking, but I have very bad ADHD and I have no fine motor skills.
The fun fact about you is that you're a polymath.
Well, I will be humble, but my husband will tell you that I'm a polymath. I am. Here.
A lot about a lot of things.
I know, but yeah, that's not. Here's it. I'm undeterred by physics or people telling me no. So if I want to learn something or if I want to do something, I just learn it. So I do know a bunch of languages that I've taught myself. I also taught myself neuroscience, like basic neuroscience, because I made a ballet on it. I don't know, is that a fun fact that I'm really stubborn?
Is it stubborn or is it just...
I'm a stubborn spaz. There you go. You can't read my handwriting. I trip over myself when I'm not dancing, and I'm very stubborn.
That's all amazing. And see, that's why I love that question, because I learn so much more about people and it's very impressive. Which languages can you speak, by the way?
I speak. No, I know them. I can speak. No. I know. I can read. I can read French. I can read Spanish. I can read Hebrew. Teaching myself Yiddish right now, and Greek and Ukrainian.
Incredible. Well, I'm massively impressed by all of that. I can barely speak English.
I think you're doing an okay job. I'm
Mhm.
too shy to speak any of those languages out loud for in public, but I do like the fact that I can read them and I can listen to them, and also just I like keeping my brain. I think as an artist, it's really, really, really important to constantly step outside yourself, be objective about the way that you're thinking, look for any habitual thought patterns that you haven't examined in a while, and beat the shit out of them, and also to be really bad at stuff constantly, to not be afraid to dive in and be really awful at it, and enjoy just the learning and the process of doing that, like whatever interests you.
I
It's
completely agree, because like sometimes someone will try something and go, I'm terrible at that. And they'll see the best person in the world doing it and they're like, I'll never be like them. But the person that's amazing was terrible at it. The difference is they didn't stop.
Oh yes.
oh yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yes. So when we first
Told you, he's just gonna
when,
yeah.
when we were before we were married, in the 5 minutes before we were married,
Oh,
my car had a manual transmission, and she did not know how to drive a manual transmission.
I'm from New York City.
And
Why would I
cursed
know
me
that?
high and low
I threatened to not marry you.
for a week
Well, he taught me because he's a terrible
while
teacher.
I taught her the basics of how to drive a manual transmission car. And then I left her alone with it, which is what my brother did to me when I was a teenager. After stalling for I don't know how many times, a month later, she's playing with the radio, putting makeup on, drinking coffee, driving the manual, no problem. Complete spaz, but undeterred by the mechanics. And since then, we've only had manual transmission cars.
That's true.
So
Continue making dinner because I'm very hungry and that
I'm
smells
not
good.
feeding you.
Can I have some?
I don't know what he's making. It smells good. What is in that pot?
I'm not telling you. It is good. You can't have any.
This is like that just reminded me of his little story. That's the thing. I taught improv forever, and it's something I taught my students that I try to remember myself all the time, which is like improvisational comedy is celebrating the unique way that you process information and see the world, and not editing it and celebrating it. And it's a really difficult thing to teach yourself how to do. And I knew when I first started learning improv as a performative art, to be funny, I knew that it was in me, and I just sucked at it. And I didn't have the right teachers in LA, and I taught myself how to teach myself. I think that's the thing. So that's the same thing with like learning how to drive a stick, whatever. Not being afraid, trusting yourself enough to know that you can teach yourself how you need to learn something is a really, really important skill to have. Everybody should try the stuff that they want to do and not worry about other people. Because for the 18th time in this interview, fuck people who tell you that you can't do something, or you shouldn't do it, or you're not doing it the right way, or you don't look right, or you're not that kind of person who should do that. If you want to do it, you should go do it.
Exactly. Live your life, not the one they want you to lead.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and open and close the cow gates when you're doing it.
Please.
It is two very city kids are like in Brockenhurst going, what are these? What is a cow gate? What is that for?
They actually can't go anywhere anyway, because I can't remember what they're called, but there's like these grid things on the floor that they can't get past.
Is that a psychological thing with the cows? Like they can't like
Yeah.
figure it
They could actually walk around them, but I think their leg would get trapped, actually, is what would happen.
Yeah, no, I thought we noticed that. I noticed. I mean, it's not like we don't have cows in America. Like we have a few. We have a few farms here. Like 90% of the country. I mean, used to be rural and agricultural. But we're just like we were goobers in Brockenhurst. That was us.
If I'd known you were there, I would have invited you round. So, not a cup of tea, obviously, but
Well, I had a drink tea there, but actually had the best French press I'd ever had in my life up until that point, and then just drank French press from then. I remember tea service like afternoon in that horrible like it was filled with just so many whatever the British equivalent of yuppies were in the early 90s um but I went and these people were intimidating and rude to me, but I ordered like French press and biscuits, which I miss so much, and cheese, and it was such a happy thing. And it snowed. We were there, and it snowed, and it was beautiful. Yeah, it's nice.
I'm going to have to send you some biscuits now.
I can't have them unless they're purely oat biscuits.
I will make you some oat biscuits once I've Googled how. I imagine I'll get some oats.
It's all right. You don't have to. I can make them, and I'll have them. I'll have to come there and have them myself, or you can bring them with you. You can bring me if I think Walker's actually now makes like gluten-free, celiac safe shortbread. And when you come here, you can bring me a little package.
I will.
Okay.
Which I made tonight, and it's then several months in the future, and I don't know how fresh they are. But
no, I think they're kind of better, a little stale, because then you have to put like, in your coffee. It's good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me what you're working on next?
Right now I'm in pre-production for a production of Into the Woods that I'm choreographing.
Amazing.
Here, excited about that. Dawn and I are trying to move the Gorgiosity. We've been doing virtual shows for the whole pandemic, and we're trying to make a monthly live show in a different outside of the city. We're looking to like expand out to reach some suburbanites, and also people who just don't, because the whole experience of the Gorgiosity is about people finding their art and being creative and expressive, like gifting that to people used to just being spectators. Trying to make the commitment to reigniting my career and in terms of like doing some acting again on film. And right now I'm moving my brain into this place where I've had all these ideas for big ballets and more theatrical pieces that I've had in my head for like 20 years that I haven't been able to make because of funding and the fact that I'm not a theater company, an individual person. And I'm started moving them and seeing how I can make them as just one person, like kind of video art, now that editing is so amazing and all the stuff that you can do without being in an editing bay. So that and saving democracy. That's the thing I've kind of been in the middle of for 6 years, and I'm just got to do that kind of like half my day has to be engaged in starting actions. I do have a fantasy about some performance art I want to do in front of the Supreme Court in regards to them trying to, make me less than a citizen and imprison my womb and enslave me. But yeah, so that's that. And growing things in my garden and making weird dishes and more ice cream. I started making ice cream this summer and it's really good.
Oh, really? What flavors?
Well, the last thing I made that was really good was actually watermelon lemon ice.
That's exactly why I asked you that. I went to Italy and they had watermelon ice cream and it was amazing. And I actually bought, and I've never used it, it's in a cupboard. I bought an ice cream maker thing and I haven't used it, but it genuinely was to make watermelon ice cream.
In the summer, it's the most perfect flavor. You can actually, and I just have a watermelon here. I'm going to make some more because I have a friend who I made dinner for a couple of weeks ago, and she's bringing another friend tomorrow so that I can give that to her again. She loved it so much. So and the ice cream machine is it's very special. I resisted buying one for years, and actually Rob came home with one like 2 months ago, and ices, and then I can make when I'm not doing dairy, and then for all the people I know are vegan, I can make vegan ice cream and make it. You let me know how it goes.
Italy's the only place I've ever had it, or gelato as it's called there, and it was so good.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, we had a gelato place here in Philadelphia, which according to National Geographic was the best gelato in the world, and it was a place that people would fly or come into Philadelphia. Would be the first place that they would go to. It fortunately closed, not because of the pandemic. It had other issues, but you make gelato, real gelato on premise. You have flavors that you never thought that you could have that are just amazing. But in the summer. And now that you guys are experiencing the kind of heat that unfortunately we know all about here, and I'm so sorry. Watermelon's like one of those things where you feel like desiccated. It's so hot and you're so dry. And having watermelon sorbet or ice cream or gelato is just, you let me know how it goes.
It's the best. It really is.
I think the key is making the simple syrup with real lemons, and
Mm.
that what your base is with the watermelon. You let me know.
I will. And so, have you got any tips for anybody that's aspiring to be a dancer or choreographer or get into that whole world?
Yeah, sure. A couple things. Something I also actually tell my child too all the time as she's a young adult. There's no end game. Like the idea of being famous and then that's it. If you are anything in life, but especially if you do and make art and you want to express yourself, you want to perform, you have things you want to create, there's no place where it stops. There's no goal. Like you don't like, oh, I'm going to be famous and that's it. It's a constantly evolving process because you are the thing that generates it. It's you, and you're constantly growing and changing. Don't let other people's ideas about what success are stop you. Do look up Artist Do if you can. It's a program that started out of Philadelphia and which is just this amazing resource about how to live your life as an artist where you don't have to let yourself fall into that trope of being a starving artist. We tend to be really, really creative, and therefore we have the capacity to live lives where we don't have to starve to death. We can use those skills. You know, there used to be this mindset that you have to like really have this like trajectory and this path, and like you have to schmooze these people and do this. Screw that. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, I've never kind of been able to do that, and the path of my artistic life has taken me all kinds of directions, and it isn't where I thought I would be when I was 7 and I thought I was going to be a famous award-winning movie star. But it's been a lot more satisfying, and be true to yourself. Take care of your psyche. That is the most important thing in the world, is taking care of who you are. And when something doesn't feel right or people are asking you to do shit that feels wrong, trust that. There are so many situations I wish I had not gotten myself into. And I don't mean like, I mean, I got into those too, got out of those too. But trust yourself. You're the only you have, and you really are the product, and you are the art. And if you don't love it, then start looking at why you don't love it and keep moving on. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not something. Because if you know that you are, you are. And ask, you'd be surprised how many people will be happy to talk to you. People who are famous, people who aren't famous, who are only too happy to help you along the path. If you want to be an artist, it's a really sacred path, and you should treat it like a really sacred path, because it's called to you. It's a sacred calling, and you need to treat it that way. And also, you need to talk to cool people like Sarah and have a good time, and don't take yourself too seriously.
That's all incredible advice. Thank you so much for that. And now we're on to my final question.
Oh God,
I know.
what's for dinner? I don't know.
Never going to find out. It's a mystery. It's going to be a cliffhanger. We'll never find out. So, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell Show and your fans around the world?
Absolutely. Sarah O'Connell is a secret weapon sent to us by benevolent aliens to make us better people and to make us love each other and also to make us laugh. She is gifted, she is brilliant, she is kind, she's a terrible, inveterate punner, but that is just a ruse to distract you from her elevated and incredibly important status. Watch her.
Well, Karen Getz, I've had the time of my life speaking.
You did it. I stepped right into it.
I could not do that.
No, you had to.
I had to do it. Thank you so much for your time. I absolutely love you, and I think you're amazing, and I really loved chatting to you today, and your husband.
It was 2 for the price of 1. I am so very happy you invited me to come talk to you, and I am so happy you exist, and I feel very honored that I got to hang out with you, and I mean it. You better come to the States and come visit me. Thank you for spreading so much love and joy around, and you know where I am. I can't wait to tell people more of you, and I can't wait to discover all these comedians at Edinburgh.
Again, I think you're amazing. I can't wait to see what you do next. And I will come and visit you in America, and you can come over to the UK.
A lot of projects we made promises to each other about, so there's the accountability.
Yeah. And I genuinely mean that. You're welcome back anytime. If you're working on anything or you just want me to share anything, I always will.
I absolutely will take you up on that. Thank you so much. And I'll let you know what was for dinner. I'll send you a message.
Please do. And I'll send you a link to the film that you're in that you haven't seen.
Oh my God, I'm so scared. Thank you.
And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave lots of lovely comments. I'll see you all again soon for another episode of The Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.